Uh, yeah, so coming out of high school, I wasn't heavily recruited D1. I got letters from every 1AA and D2 school on the Eastern Seaboard. Had opportunities as a recruited walk-on out here actually at Arizona State, Michigan, and Pittsburgh. And had I known then what I know now about financial aid and that whole thing, I probably would have ended up at one of those three places. And as I was going through the college application process, my parents, just really subscribed to the fact that college was the key to success. And, I applied to, I think, 13 schools in total. And, I asked my dad one day, why am I applying to so many schools? And he's like, don't worry. When the rejection letters comes, it'll make your decisions a lot easier. Oh, okay. And turns out I got accepted to every single one of them. And so I'm standing there with 13 acceptance letters. And I'm like, Dad, what do I do now? And he's like, well, who's giving you money? And got the opportunity to go to the Air Force Academy, for free, play football, and on the tail end of it, be an officer in the United States Air Force. And when I kind of wrote my goals at 16, that was like the big three: go to school, play D1, and end up in the military. So that was like all three wrapped up with a bow. You can't lose. And so I spent a year at the Air Force Academy Prep School, and established some really solid relationships with some lifelong friends to this day. And then my freshman year at the academy, really wasn't in love with the process of the academy, or the culture, to be honest. So I really decided, put myself in a compromising position. I didn't want to ever say that I quit, and I didn't want at the time to put myself in a position where, as I tell this story, over 10 years later, that, I quit the academy. So what I ended up doing was, I cheated on a test, and my roommate, who I knew was, a by the book kind of guy, you know, ran my honor violation up the chain of command, and it kind of snowballed on me. A lot of guys that had done, committed the same violation that I did, were telling me, oh, you're going to do your 6 months of honor probation. Everything's going to be fine. No harm, no foul. You learned your lesson. Slap on the hand. It's all good. And what ended up happening, I just got caught, in a series of uncontrollable circumstances. And I'll never forget going through combat survival training. It's hot on a June day. We're at the top of this rock. We've been hiking all afternoon, and this firstie comes up to me and he says, "Are you Cadet Anders?" I said, "Yeah." He says, "I need you to come with me. You're leaving the academy today." And I was like, wow, this is really happening. And I was okay with it. I mean, it wasn't really a place I really wanted to be in the first place. But I'll never forget getting back to my dorm room and making that phone call home, setting up a ride from the airport. And, my mom answers the phone. I was like, "Mom, I'm leaving the academy." And she says, are you sure? You're positive that it's not for you?" And I said, "No, it's not that. They're kicking me out, for cheating on that test." And this is, at this point, as a matter of fact, I got in trouble Super Bowl Sunday. That's right. I'll never forget that. So about 4 months have gone by at this point. And when they decided to let me go, and she's like, "Okay," she was mom, and she's like, "Okay, we'll be there to pick you up. Just let us know when to be there." "Okay. You want to talk to Dad?" I say, "Yeah, okay." And my dad was dad. He was in my corner, and you know, I'll never say that he understood, but he didn't implode on me the way I thought that he was going to. And but I could sense the outright disappointment in his voice, and just started crying uncontrollably, and realized that this is definitely a low point in my life. And at that point, I just didn't know what I was gonna do. And so yeah, that was my short stint at the Air Force Academy. And you know, uh, the relationships I gained from that experience and the network that I have now is something that made that whole process worthwhile. And it's definitely one of the regrettable moments in my life, no doubt.